world.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It is a couple minutes to 10 o'clock, so we'll get started very shortly. I'm just going to give you a few minutes to get settled, and we will be right back. Okay, so it is 1 minute past 10 o'clock. So we will go ahead and get started. So today's organization that we are featuring is one of our grantees that is in Israel, QueenB. And I have with me Roni, who she can tell you what her title is. But we are going to be learning about what the organization does and why it's important to get more girls involved in tech. So Roni, I'm going to turn it over to you. So first, tell us what your role is within the organization.
So first of all, hello everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Roni and I'm the pedagogical manager of QueenB organization. It's an organization that teaches girls how to code. And we also have, we are also managing a community of around 2,500 students of computer science and engineering. And we provide them content and help to proceed from and to excel in their education and in the university, but also help them to find their first job in the high-tech industry here in Israel. And my role specifically is more involved in the Teach Tech Girls program that we have. We are teaching girls from the age of 14 until 16, and we teach them computer science and web design with the languages JavaScript and HTML. And my job is to oversee what content we are teaching them, what also feminist content and empowering content, and we also help to form our instructors to learn about our program, our language, how we are teaching, our pedagogical, and this is in a nutshell.
Okay, great. So obviously you have a presentation. that I know you want to go through. So I do want to remind everyone that is watching, if you have a question at any point during today's webinar, please go ahead and submit it through the Q&A feature, and we'll make sure to get to the question before the end of today. So Ronnie, do you want to start with the presentation?
Great. So I will be focused at the beginning in our teenage program, and at the end I will also talk a bit about our student program. So our main word in QueenB is being brave. It's our main object to teach the girls to be brave and to try. We use the technology, we use the coding to teach them to be brave and not perfect. So this is why I call this presentation Be Brave, Teach Tech Girls. Okay, so let's continue. So before we start our program, we understand that there is a lot of barriers, but we understand that there is three that are main barriers that makes girls to choose not to learn STEM field, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. First of all, they find it's only for genius. I don't know if you will relate to it, but when I was a teacher, it was very common that like, if you're good in history or in art, you're good in art and in history. But if you're good in math or in other STEM subject, you're smart, like in general. And so for them, it like this kind of subject is only for genius. And it makes a huge barrier for them to go and study and to explore this kind of subject. Also, a lot of them find it sometimes gray or dull. And since these two things make them further and further from this subject, they start to develop low self-efficacy to this subject. So with understanding of what our main barriers, we created our program to deal with that barriers and to expose them to the STEM field and specifically to computer science. Why is that? Because today there is a lot of women and girls who do go and study them, but still, as I said, it's usually you will see that the girls who are excel in class or has the best point in math, they usually the one who will choose to study it in the university. Regards to men and boys that usually if they're not excel specifically in STEM, but since they feel it's more masculine and to the STEM fields, so even if they are not the best of their class, they will feel confident enough to go and choose it also in the university later. So we are trying to broaden the aspect of girls who coming to this subject. And we are trying to approach this kind of girls because we do believe coding is for everybody. It's a language. If you learn how to speak your maternal language, and most of them have second language, specifically here in Israel, sometimes a third language because we come from a lot of places. So you can learn how to code. And so we are specifically focusing on girls. So what's our program built on? First of all, female role models. It's students of computer science or engineering that teach our girls. It's not only important to have female role models, but it's also important to have female role models who are approachable, that look alike like me, that not very far away in their path in the STEM field, because it's more easier to connect with them, and it's more easier to dream about it. If we had a CEO that comes and teach them, it will be very far away and very hard to connect and to imagine I can be a CEO. To imagine I can be a student in computer science in Tel Aviv University, it's much easier. So this is the female role model that we chose. Later on, we are practicing, as I said, a lot of bravery instead of perfection. We have it a lot in our lessons. We are talking about try it, make mistakes, go and try to find an answer in Google with your friends together. Bugs are happening while you're coding, so it's very important for us. It's a deep and ongoing program, as I said before. We are started at the age of 14. we are teaching 2 years our content, and later on we are helping them through the in high school, when the one who chose to have a major in computer science. So we are helping them through the years in high school until they're finished their finals. It's a bit different Israel and the United States. Our program, we choose major already in high school. The two last one, I will talk about it more later, the empowering pedagogic that we have and how we teach it. And also they are being part of the community, which I will also elaborate later, also as a teenage girl in our community, but also later on as a student in our community.
So Roni, can I ask,
of course.
Do you have a background in coding? Like, what's your background before you came to QueenB?
Great question. So I'm about to finish my 3rd year here in QueenB. I actually doesn't have background in STEM field. I didn't do the obvious track of being in the STEM field in the high school, then university, and in the tech industry. I come from the education and teaching. I was a teacher for 10 years. And then I saw that everything around school is very far away from what we are teaching here, because, okay, we're teaching math and English and history and everything, but we are not teaching the tools that are important and relevant for the future. So I went and I stopped teaching for 1 year, and I went to study coding and web development, actually in France, but that was another, I just had an opportunity to be there, so I studied it there. And when I came back to Israel, my dream was to find an organization or a project or a program that combine also the tools that I've gained, coding tools, with my passion, education, and social change, and empowering women. And I walked from meetup to meetup to learn about the industry that we have here and the project that we have here in Israel, because it was far away from what I did before. And I got to know the founders, Yasmin Dansky and Noga Man, in a meetup, and connected with them. And before I was the manager of a pedagogic here, I did 3 or 4 lessons in schools. And then I submitted myself as a pedagogical manager and started to work with them. And I'm very happy I did that.
Okay, thank you. And also, I want to talk about the why of the program too. Like, you know, why was QueenB created, and why is it important to teach girls how to code and to try to encourage them to go into computer science at the college level?
So this is very connected to the structure of our schools here. Usually when they are at the end of the college, they have to choose a major for the high school. We don't teach them everything in high school. So usually they have to pick a major, and usually in the STEM field. So you have physics, chemistry, computer science, and biology. And you have the non-STEM, which is our philosophy, literature, and all of this kind of subject. And the amount of girls that choose STEM field as their major are very low. And the impact is that lesser even are choosing later to go to the university. Because if you're not exposed to this kind of subject and you don't gain confidence that you are that you can learn this, that you can excel in this subject, you won't, even if you don't choose it in high school, you won't choose it later on in the university. And we still now see a huge difference between the percentage of men and women that goes to STEM field, it begins to be more, it begins to change, but not enough. And Noga and Yasmin, the founders of QueenB, they started this program when they were students themselves, and they looked around, and there were mostly the only women in their class, and they tried to understand why does it happen. So this is why they went back to this age, because they understood that's the very significant age when you start to choose that. It's the age that when you choose something, its impact on your future much more significantly than the thing that you choose when you're 5 years old. So this is why we chose this age. This is why QueenB got created in general, to bring more women to the STEM education in order for them later on also to be to work in the STEM industry, specifically in the high-tech industry. It's the most fast-growing industry here in Israel and in the world, of course. If you want to do almost nowadays, at the beginning it was to make them enter to the industry. But today I think our mantra is that coding is a language that is necessary to conduct in the future. If you don't have this language, it's like being an alphabetic nowadays. It doesn't matter at the end of the day what you're choosing. Speaking technology, speaking coding is very, very important, and it opens door later on to the job industry, of course, to have better position, and it's a really social change for a lot of their girls, specifically the girls who are not coming from very strong background.
Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about the social change component a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about the impact on technology, I guess, by just having more women present, right? Or having, let's say, like a girl women's perspective when they're creating technology?
It's very interesting because I've read a lot of articles about it that women usually, when they choose let's go before it. How do you convince girls and women to choose this path? Sometimes it seems it's easier to convince them if you tell them it's a tool to have social change. I've read an article very interesting that had a text mining about the letter application of female students and male students to STEM fields in the university in the USA, and they showed that women always, like when they choose in their application, they always said, like, I want to study this and this because I want to do this for the society. I want to change this subject is interrupting me. And men usually think about themselves, like, I want to grow in this direction. This thing is important to me. I really love these things. And it was very interesting. And usually, I think if this research was held 20 years ago, the main conclusion was that we have to change the women to think about themselves. But since this research held recently, I felt that their conclusion was much more evolved, because at the end of the day, okay, so we need to show these girls and women that this STEM field will help them to change the world, will help them to create the social change they are thriving for. You can see that in Israel, for example, there is much more women that goes to medicine than men nowadays, and also more to biology, but they are not still the understanding that social change can also come from computer science, engineering. It's quite new, it's quite recent, and I think we are not trying to change the girls nowadays. We're trying to give them a better understanding that these are important tools that they can have to reach their goals. We don't want to change the stereotypical female belief that we want to create a better world for everybody than to ourselves. And I think it's important. And I think this is what we also want to, these are also added value here in our program.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so because I've, done some reading about the topic, of course. And so from what I've read, having more women and then also, people of color in STEM directly affects the kind of technology that they produce and ends up, I guess, producing technology that becomes more inclusive and therefore more effective, so that, it's important that we have diversity in the field, not just because girls can, earn more money, hopefully in their lifetime in these fields, but also because it makes the technology better for everybody.
Yes, agreeing. I will tell you, it's even in the small things. I go around a lot in the tech industry to offices and to startups and everything. You can see even that the work environment, it's more welcoming and nice and warm if you have more diversity. It doesn't matter, women or other people, either minorities. When you're not coming to a startup or a company that you see only one kind of people, you feel more welcome. You feel there is something in the air that you want to work. You want to do something together, because even the work environment is different when there are more diversity. Is there any question maybe from the audience, or should I continue?
I don't know. Does anyone have any questions for Roni before she moves on to the next part of the presentation? All right, I'll let you. I have more questions for you, so but you can keep going, and I'll get to those.
Okay, so I will continue. So our holistic program is combined of three major things, which are the mentors. As I said before, it's a female computer science and engineering students. Our ratio is one student for five girls, which is very low, so they can have a really personal experience of learning. The other thing is the unique pedagogic that I will elaborate later. And also a specifically tailored answer, the low efficacy of female students that are facing STEM subjects. They are really trying to, again, as I said, not teaching STEM as they do in schools or in the traditional way. We are trying to address the low self-efficacy to help and create a much more welcoming and learning environment. What do I mean when I say it? So 5 very important bullets in our pedagogic. So first of all, there is no exam, there is no limit. You don't have to have a minimum of knowledge to come. You don't have to answer anything. You just have to come and learn. We are teaching from the basic, and we are teaching, we're trying to keep it simple as possible. Since we have the ratio of 1:5, meaning that we can also tailor for every girl their own pacing. So this is the first and the most important. Later on, as I said, bravery over perfection. A lot of our girls are like, they don't want to leave anything until it's perfect, until, I don't know if you have this in your mind, but like when the notebook is straight, there is a clear title, they have the bullets, they have the answer exactly as the teacher wanted. No, here it doesn't go like this. We had in the middle project that we have in the middle of the year, they saw that, for example, we can give them a project and you can have 5 ways to write it, and everything is perfect and everything is great, and they had to do and to deal with bugs by themselves, and or with the help of their friends. And also we inspire our also mentors, like sometimes you're going to teach stuff that you are not confident, you're not know for 100%, because what we are teaching our girls is doesn't necessarily what they are learning in the computers in the universities. So we tell them, like, show the girls that you are making mistakes, show the girls that sometimes you have bugs, and show them how to search for the right answer. So they will learn that it's okay not to be perfect and not to be right all the time, and that you don't have all the answers, because this is the real world. And so very important. Later on, that our Bible is do not touch my keyboard. Usually girls, stereotypically girls do not do not if they don't do everything from 0 to 10, if they get the little help even, they say they didn't do that. It's not them, it's not their success. Right. The imposter syndrome, right, very strong. So we are very strict about it. It's very, very hard for our students, for our mentors, for our teachers to not do something, but we tell them, listen, if you'll do even the one thing, it no longer will be theirs, sorry. So it's very important in our pedagogic. Mm-hmm. Fourth one is the personal experience, CPL, a lot of projects where they can, as we said, they think it's a dull and gray subject, computer science, because it's only numbers that goes up and down and we don't know what's going on. So we are trying to create a project for them so they can code, but they can also bring inside their self, so they can put content that interests them. Right. They can also design like CSS, HTML, to teach them that we can also be very interactive and pretty and interesting. And right. The last and not least, be your own savior. Be your own savior. It can be in the class, specifically in an exercise, but also as you said, be your own savior. Like you need this language to be a citizen in the future. You need it for your future, so you can choose your path, your professional path, from much more various possibilities. Sure. So how do you find the girls, I guess, or how do they find you, and what's the format? Is it like an after school program? Is it in school? Are there camps? So it's an after school program for 1 year. The girls are meeting once in a week for 3 hours, where we have a very structural lesson that always start with something fun, a talk. So first of all, like create, as I said, like a community. We first of all as a group, and so they will feel close, they will feel open to learn there. So this is always how we start. Later on, we have a game that the mean of this game is to present the technological concept that we're going to learn, but in a game, so it will be less scary. And then we learn the algorithm or the concept and the syntax. And then there is we call it active learning, which they are doing an exercise all together to profound the understanding of the new concept that they just learned and the syntax. And then they are going and starting to exercise by themselves, sometimes by a couple, sometimes by themselves, only one by one, and the teachers are moving around them and help them. So this is what we are doing in one session for 3 hours. How do we find them? Very good question. So as we saw here, these girls don't need us. They will come. They are searching they're the one who are searching us. They're searching programs. One of them even said to me, like, I registered to another program, but then I saw you because I don't want to be in programs that I will be the only girl. Or a lot of the time you will see in like youth centers or community center that they will put the computer science in the same hour with the dancing or painting, which are courses that usually more girls going to. So they will have to choose from one hobby to another. So in QueenB, they have much wider time slots, so they can choose to have also, they can choose also to dance and also to learn coding. So this kind of girls that come from this part of the Gauss curve are searching us and very happy that they have this opportunity. For these girls, we are working really hard to go to places and classes that usually they don't even know that we are existing. They don't know that that this kind of subject you can learn after school and in a nice way, in a gamification way, in a community. So sometimes we can go to schools, usually even for like, in Israel, a lot of the time, you have public schools, but inside of the public schools, you have a class that are the math class or the science class, or the classes that they are taking the math in accelerate way. So when we'll come there, they will only tell us, okay, go to this and this class, don't go to the other classes. We don't want, like, they will never come to you. They don't care, they are not interested. So, and we are insisting to go to all of the classes, so all of the girls there will be exposed to our program. And the last 2 years also, we cooperate with weeks hour of code activities. So even we start exposing girls and boys, of course, that are younger to the coding world. So later on, we will come next year and present them QueenB. They will know it's not scary already, and it's not gray, and it's not dull, and you can wear a pink t-shirt, which is cool, and to have stickers, and you see girls that looks like you that teaching code, and it will be easier to convince them. With much more underprivileged population, we are connecting with an organization that knows how to approach them, and we cooperate with them, because sometimes we need more support to bring those kind of girls. Support like lunch, more money, because they need more than like a discount or a scholarship. They need a bit more to be available to this learning. So with the underprivileged society, we usually opt with an organization that can help us bring them, and can also help us create the class close to their homes, close to their community, close to their neighborhood. Because usually our classes are in the university, and usually the university are either in the center or the north part of each city.
So how many, I guess, cities are you in, or locations is QueenB in right now?
Yeah, cities, we are now in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Kfar Saba, Beersheba, and Haifa. But in Jerusalem, we are in the east and the west, meaning we have in Arabic and in Hebrew for both population. In Haifa also we have a group that's coming also in Arabic and in Hebrew that are coming from Furadis. This is, for example, an example of a group that we cooperate with the school, and they help us and, for example, finance out the cars bus that brings them to Haifa, to the Technion, because it's far away from the village. In Tel Aviv, we were at the beginning for 2 years, we had only groups in the Tel Aviv University, which is the north of Tel Aviv. This year, we opened one in the south of Tel Aviv for the people who live in the south of Tel Aviv, at Checkpoint, and also we open in the community center in Jaffa for for this population. So inside the cities, we also growing a lot. We have a cooperation in Jerusalem with an organization that's called Infinity, which help us to address to the diaspora of Ethiopian girls, which is our minority that is under representation in the tech industry and in the workplace in general, but especially also in the tech industry. So we are growing and growing, and we're hoping also to open next year for ultra-Orthodox girls. So we can really expand to more and more the variety of the society we have here.
So about how many girls would you say are in the program currently?
Currently, we have around 400 participants, which is a lot to Corona time,
right?
Because also to it was a lot of challenge to maintain, especially the less fortunate girls, because learning from far, it's harder when you don't have your private place, computers. It was like a huge operation to bring all of them, all the girls that didn't have their personal computer. So to bring them a personal computer, sometimes the Wi-Fi is not very good. So
right.
Especially in the east of Jerusalem, sometimes the lessons were through the telephone, and they were in the computer coding, but they couldn't code and Zoom together. So it was by phone. So it was very, very hard to maintain them, but I think it was an amazing operation of everybody, of their teachers, of the students, of their community, and the centers, and the industry who donate our computers. And we succeed to finish the year with 400 participants, and we are hoping that next year, now that most of the people here are vaccinated, to
right.
open next year at least 2 more branches in the north also, because we didn't get to the far north of Israel yet. So this is our hope for next year, to go to the north and open for ultra-Orthodox girls.
So let's talk a little bit more about the makeup of the girls that are participating in the program. So in terms of, I guess, like ethnic backgrounds, or are they mostly Israeli? Are there Arab girls in the program, Ethiopian?
Yeah, so we have everything. We have Ethiopian girls. We have girls from both Ashkenaz and Mizrahi from background, and we also have Arab that lives in Israel, but also the one in East Jerusalem. Not all of them are citizens. Some of them are residents of Jerusalem.
Okay.
So we have all of this mix, of course, religious and not religious, Christian, Muslims, Jewish. Of course, we have more Jewish than Christian and Muslims. We have a lot of diversity, but we are working to be more diverse specifically. And again, our diversity is less, we have less problem in our diversity of ethnicity than we have in like a more difficult and challenge to bring the girls that are not sure of themselves, that are not in the top of their classes.
Okay.
This is the diversity we're searching, because also in the Ethiopian girls that we have, which are minority here, it's easier to recruit and to the one that are already feel confident in school. The same for the religious girls, the same for the Arabs girl that we have in our program. The diversity that we thrive is to, of course, expand to more parts and to more ethnicities, but also to girls that are not the best of their class. They are not loving math, and are
Right.
yes.
So we see a question came through. So if anyone has questions, please submit it through the Q&A feature. So the question is if QueenB has the capacity to expand beyond, I guess, 16. So older women like 20s or 30s who are looking to re-enter the workforce or change careers.
If we would like to do that, I think I think we will be happy to expand to the female that are after scholarity, we say, I'm sorry, scholarity age. I think we will be happy. I don't think we have program to do that here, but they don't do it the same way we do. And I think we can contribute a lot to this kind of population, because I've heard a lot of women like, if there were QueenB when I was younger, I will totally do it, or I will totally,
Right.
I will be less afraid of computer or from numbers or stuff like this. So yes, of course it will. I think it will be great. Especially you can see nowadays after the COVID, most of the people who lost their job are female, not male, because the first profession that are like less important is the profession that we have more women there. And I think that it could be a really huge impact to bring this kind of program also to older people, older ladies.
Sure. How many programs are there in Israel like QueenB that you know of?
Well, first of all, I have to say there is nothing like QueenB. We have similars. I said I left, but I was cynic, but still, we are one of the only program that are for the long term and write their own content. There is other program, for example, that you can come and learn a course. It's on, for example, She Codes, which is, they don't have an age limit. You can come and learn how to code, but it cycles of 1 month till 2 or 3 months, depends of the program that you choose. And they provide you an online course, and you can come with your headphones and your computer. There is no this, they don't have the same pedagogical principle as we do.
Okay.
Which I think it's very good for women who has already self-efficacy or confident, or they know how to learn by themselves. So this is, for example, a good project for them. The other project usually for the younger population mostly are either come and learn about the tech industry, and they meet them with like entrepreneurs, or they take them to touring Google, Facebook offices and stuff like this to expose them to the variety possibilities that there is in this industry. But again, it's very like a very short-term program. The other programs are, there is Neta, also of Apple NGOs organization. But they, for example, are focused on the periphery. I think another thing that is very unique to our program, that you will see a girl from the lower class, I mean, not lower class economically, I mean, like also like with that has like 60s and 50 in her grade, and a girl that has straight A's at the same class learning together. One will be strong in that, one will be strong in that. Usually it's either like a program for the peripheric, the low income status, or only for, or expensive program for this kind of population. And I think
Mhm.
another thing that's very unique for us that we are not doing this kind of separation, not by economic separation and not also by the level of learning abilities, or not abilities, sorry, but learning achievement.
Mhm.
Yeah. I hope
Hmm.
I answered the question.
Yeah, no, you did. So, yeah, I mean, I think the program is really interesting and important. I mean, certainly we're happy to be supporting that. So, uh, let's talk about the alumni from the program. So, how many? I don't know what kind of tracking you're doing currently, but for girls that have been through QueenB and are now, I guess, in college, or I don't. Do you have any girls who've graduated from college already?
And no, because I think we have no, because we started. We have some that are now in their last year. How do you call it? Sorry, in English, it's, seniors.
Like their senior year?
Senior
Mhm.
year, yeah. So now they're in their senior year, but we have alumni of, I don't know if yeah, we can call it them alumni. Like for example, a student who taught while they were students in the university, and now they are already working in the tech industry. And they, for example, are great ambassador for us to spread the world,
Mhm.
to tell more people about us, to bring other communities and other population. Uh,
Mhm.
but the numbers also, because the one that are seniors now, it's when
Mhm.
our program were only in Jerusalem. So
Okay.
also like, and it was like two groups or three. So
Okay.
I think the numbers will be more accurate, that we will see the seniors from 2 years ago when our program were already in Tel Aviv, Haifa,
Mhm.
Jerusalem, and Beersheba, and that we started 2 years ago.
So, I mean, so of the girls who are in college right now, how many of them are in computer science or in some kind of STEM major?
So I don't have the exact number, but I can tell that, for example, uh, this year we opened, again, also from Jerusalem, because that's where we have seniors, a group of girls that they finished 2 years of QueenB, and they chose computer science. They are 12, and they said like, okay, now it's time to come back and contribute. And because of them, we created a new program for alumni that they can come, and we join them to groups, and they
Mhm.
help for the year long, and helping to the students, to the
Mhm.
teenage girls to learn. And
Right.
then we have like an added value of another role model, not in the university, but a role model that are in high school, and that's also much more approachable for the girl to imagine. So I think
Sure.
it's a really good it's a really good idea of them, but also I think that you can see that it was a really great impact on their life, and the way they chose their academical path was a lot of inspired by the years in QueenB.
Mhm. So, do you have like any, I guess, like personal anecdotes you can share about the girls that you've worked with and how being in the program has really impacted them?
So first of all, these 12 girls are really a good anecdote. One is still, it's her name is Stav. One is still, she's still in like she's doing 3 points in math, which is the lowest you can do in math here in Israel. It's either 3, 4, or 5 for finals. And she's doing only 3, but she chose as major computer science, where usually school don't even let girls or boys that are doing 3 points in math to even choose computer science, because for them it's the same. Like computer and math are the same. You cannot learn it if you don't do at least 4 points. And she really like insisted to go and to learn this, because she said, but in QueenB I was very good and I know how to code and no problem. So and she went and she argued with the school and they gave her this opportunity. We had a girl that was very quiet at school, but we didn't know it, because here, like with QueenB, she was very like outgoing, expressionable. She was very like she advanced with the course normally, not like he wasn't like needed to have like a help or something. And by accident, her teacher like went to school to say hello, 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 and the teacher looked at her and she said to her, "She's learning what?" And she said, "She's learning how to code. We're here in QueenB for 6 months now." And she was like, "Ma," she was like, "What? How come? Like she doesn't even talk. She has 50 in math. She has 16 in English. Like she doesn't like." She's not a great student. She doesn't do any trouble, but because she's quiet, so they don't care a lot. So they were shocked, and like we experienced something else. And then we understand that like in the school they don't see her, so the teacher started to write the school about her advance and how she advanced in QueenB. And at the end of the year, she was one of the she was one to represent QueenB in the Pico Kids delegation to China, where we did like a make-a-thon. And her principal were like, she went nuts. She didn't know how it could be. So we have a lot of this anecdote that you feel that some of the girls, it's the only place that they feel comfortable to be heard, to talk, to give their voice a place. And like, and you can see like let's be stereotypical a bit, but like you can see like the cool girls having become friends with the geek girls, and together like a great mix that you would never see in like public school because of all of this kind of stigma. And I think it's amazing. And we also, because of this closeness and welcoming place, we did help girls also that we find out that they are in a risk position, meaning like eating disorders, abusable relationship, stuff that only when you have a place that is really close, really welcoming, you can learn about it and act on it without like anger or or like when they don't push you out from their life because they know you're only want their best. So
Right. And have you seen girls in the program who I guess have improved academically because they've been in QueenB?
yes,
Like in other subjects outside of like math or things that are directly tied to STEM?
So first of all, this girl was definitely improved also in school, and also I think it's not the I think her grades sometimes were low because she was just quiet, and
Right.
and then usually, you know, a class of 30 or 14 or 40 students, the teacher don't have all the time to make the best of every one of them. And if you are the quiet ones, so you don't get a lot of attention from, and it's bad and not bad, but usually it's bad because they don't see their potential and they don't push you.
Right. So they're like overlooked.
Exactly. So I think sometimes this kind of organization like Queen, or that the first time someone see me personally and can see what I can do, gives me a lot of confidence to also to excel in school. And she is a really good example for it. And we also had it's funny, 2 days ago, we had a student from Jaffa. She used to come to our branch in Tel Aviv University in the north of Tel Aviv. because we didn't had already a class in Jaffa at that time. And she, for example, she decided she wanted to do computer science, and in her school in Jaffa they didn't have computer science.
Okay.
So she she's Arab, so, and her also Hebrew, it's not her first language.
Okay.
So, but still she decided after 2 years in QueenB to pursue her dream, and she moved from not moved, but like she decided to make an application for a school norther from Jaffa for that are usually 99% are Israeli Jews, but there is computer science there. So, and she did it by herself, and and convinced her parents, and everything goes along with that. And 2 days 2 days ago she wrote me like, Ronnie, in Israel, in order to have your finals, we call it a BAC. Okay, in order to have your degree of the end of the high school, you have to do certain hours of volunteering.
Like community service.
Like community, exactly. So,
Yeah.
so it's mandatory unless you don't have your finals. So she texted me like, listen, I was in this kind of program, but it's not for me. I don't feel I'm meaningful. I don't feel I do that much. I know that you only have this program of community service only in Jerusalem because it's only there that we have seniors. But I'm ready to open the one in Tel Aviv. So so it's another, like, for me it's a huge success story, and I hope that, like, if we will bring more of this kind of education also to Jaffa, so the school will understand, okay, so we need to make an effort to open computer science program also there in our schools, not only in the schools of the north of Tel Aviv. And
Yeah,
because
no,
there is a
absolutely.
demand. I don't think they believe there is a demand. That's a lot of the time the problem. Also, it happens in a lot of places, also in the periphery. Like, okay, we're teaching them for 2 years, but then there is no computer science program in their school, so they cannot continue. So we are trying to create another slowly program for them to continue, so they won't lose what they learn with us.
Sure.
But we also trying to push and to create more program in the school and to show them that there is a demand, there is population. Believe in your girls, believe in your students, believe in your community. We're trying our best.
Well, it sounds like you're doing an excellent job. So we are just a few minutes out before 11. So I'm going to ask if anyone else has questions before we wrap up in a few minutes. All right. All right, Roni, I guess you can keep going with your slides.
Okay. So until there is another question, I will tell you that we also, as I said, we have beside of our program for the teenage girls, we also have a program for our students, also for our mentors, the one who teach, but also we do have a community that is bigger than other students of computers, female students of computer science and engineering all around the country. And in this community, we do connect them to the industry and to the ecosystem and to the academia here in the country, meaning to expose them to MA or a PhD program, and how you can address them, how to write your application, we do a lot of cooperation with the big companies here in Israel, so to enter more female students from our community to the junior position, so they can gain more experience in the profession work. And if we are talking about diversity, so for example, we had a cooperation with K Health, which is a fast growing startup here, unicorn, that is doing digital medical support. And for example, they work in English, not in Hebrew. So really pushed our Arab-speaking students in our community to go and to apply to this position, because this is more easier for you than we are taking to other position where Hebrew is like very, they need it to be fluently and everything. So when it's open, when we have something open that doesn't necessarily need Hebrew, we're really pushing our minorities that we have in our communities, so they also have a representation there, and we succeed in this manner a lot. We expose them to the ecosystem. We do, for example, during the COVID, when we couldn't do like huge webinars and seminars and stuff like this. So, for example, we created a program in our Facebook page that called Ask Whatever You Want, and every time we brought someone and another female from a lot of position in the high-tech industry, so they can ask her and learn about her and learn how she got to this position, what is a disadvantage, advantage. And because sometimes you're learning engineering or computer science, but you want to be a product manager, or sometimes you want to go to the data science, or sometimes you want to be an algorithmic. And so we are trying to provide them as much as a position and interesting path of a professional path, so they can learn from. And also, again, not during COVID, because last year we couldn't do it. We were hoping to do it this year. A lot of the students, when they finish to study, they are going outside, but beside the courses that they did, they don't have anything as an experience, not a working experience and not project. So we created a hackathon of QueenB only for our community, or at least that at least two of a team is from QueenB community, because we saw, for example, that the percentage of women that are going to hackathon is really low compared to the students that there is. And it's a really great platform to meet people from the ecosystem, because there is judges, there is mentors, and usually there is big sponsor for hackathon. So if you're not going to hackathon, you will know less people, you have less opportunities. This is the first thing. And also the students hackathon helps them to create a project from 1 to 10. And then they really, like, for the first time, some of them like, okay, I know how to create, I know not only how to write code, I know how to make it vivid, and how to create a product, which is a different thing. And the third thing in the hackathon, we always try to teach them a new platform. So the last one we had, for example, a new platform that usually the industry use, but not necessarily they will learn in the university. So for example, in the last hackathon, we taught them how to use Android Studio, which is the most common for developing app for Android. So they gain from these three things, they gain a lot when we create the hackathon, when we have it.
So we are just a couple minutes now past 11. So we're going to have to wrap up. Roni, thank you so much for being here with us today, and for giving us such a thorough look at QueenB. So again, like, we're so happy to be supporting you, and, you know, keep sending us updates on how the girls are doing and how the program is going. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. You can watch all of our Impact Tuesday recordings on our website at jwfpalmbeach.org. And I want to thank Eileen Berman and Jay Bauer for underwriting all of our education advocacy events for this year. So take care, stay healthy and well, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye.